think one of the scariest things about reading the Bible is it's true. All the prophecies spoken in it by all these people thousands of years ago, warning us today about what's gonna happen, is all coming true. From the book of Revelations all the way through to the books of Daniel and Ezekiel, Isaiah, even some of the things Jesus spoke of. Welcome, by the way, to the Gospel Hour with David. Glory be to God. Jesus Christ is alive, and He has gathered us here today. As a concerned citizen in the United States, I wonder, does God answer prayers? Right? How many people across the United States of America have been praying for a conservative Christian to be president, a conservative Christian to be rulers over us, because we know people with a sound mind, with a heart of peace and a desire for joy, are the people we want ruling over us. Yet we wonder, as they're being systematically removed, does God answer prayers? And perhaps God has answered our prayers, and the answer is no. Perhaps the answer, maybe the answer is, God's desire is for us to reap what we've sown. Reap what we've sown. So today is a message that we can use as a measure of discernment. Jesus Christ, peace I bring you. God brings us peace. So if we're going to engage in any conversations with anybody, is that conversation surrounded by peace? Does it bring you peace? If not, it's not of God. And because it's not of God, you should remove yourself from it. The conversation, the debate, the whatever it is. Now, if we're going to use that same measure for discernment, does the television show we're watching, does the news channel we're watching, does anything we're watching bring us peace? And if it doesn't bring peace or a message of peace, remove yourself from it. Remove yourself from it. In all of it, the answer is, and always has been, choose life. Choose life. I remember back in 2012 having all kinds of supernatural type experiences with the Lord and with my faith, and coming to a place of resolve. I had to resolve within my own heart. It didn't matter what everybody else's resolve was. It didn't matter what they believed or believed in me or didn't believe in me. It didn't matter. The whole thing was I had to resolve in my own heart which side of the line I choose to stand. Do I want to believe God with every piece of my being, or just some of it? Or do I just want to hope for good things, or do I want to truly believe that all good things come to those who believe? Believing with everything I had, with 100% of my resources, my income, my life, my essence, my thoughts, my music, what I digest, what I bring into my home, into my house, into my body. I had to make a resolve in my heart Either I'm all in or I'm not in at all. I remember the very asking God. As I had a message come to me in 1994. You're going to tell the world Jesus is coming. Gave me instructions and all the stuff. And said it would be exactly like in the days of Noah. Everybody will be eating and drinking and marrying and living life and being self-absorbed in that life. So much so, they had no idea what was happening until the rain never stopped. But Noah was prepared. As Christians, as believers, as people who have resolved within their heart to fully trust in the Lord, to fully surrender to the Lord, to fully believe in Him, none of this that's happening in our world is a surprise. Maybe astonishing that it's happening in our generation. It's happening to us. It was supposed to happen to the people who are coming, the next generation, or it happened to the people in a prior generation. But for us, right? Never. But I remember when I was praying and I'm asking the Lord from the depths of my soul, give me a sign that I can trust in and believe in. And it didn't matter what anybody else thought. It was the resolve within myself. I go out and how am I going to tell the world? How is that even possible? I wasn't a computer guy. I wasn't a movie maker guy. I was a nobody guy. I was a construction guy out there minding my own business. And then the Lord drawed me out of that. Says, I got a plan for you. I'm going to use you. How? I remember the first thing I did, I go on Facebook, and I'm there typing, trying to spread the news of the gospel, and wore my fingers out. Lord, this ain't going to work. Not only that, I struggle with dyslexia. You don't know what trouble it is for me to write a coherent sentence. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a camera shows up. Didn't ask for one. Don't even know where it comes from. Somebody leaves it at the house on accident. But, you know, at the time I'm praying, here comes a camera, and then all of a sudden, a tripod thingy shows up out of nowhere. He ain't asking for it. I'm praying personally, secret to God, and it shows up. And pretty soon, I put the two together, making my first video somewhere the end of 2012 to December. I had the video. It's terrible. Wasn't good at speaking, wasn't good at videoing myself, wasn't, it was not a great video. There's somewhere a copy of it, but it's not public right now. And had this video made, and I felt this fire in my heart that I have to get this published right now, right away, as soon as I can. I got to get this out to the people. We are out of time. Time is now, and everything that everything's wrapped up in the essence of right now. Not waiting for tomorrow, next month, but now is the time. And 3-4 weeks go by. Ain't able, because I'm not a computer person. I don't know how to upload a video. Never made a video. So I had to find somebody to help me. And after a few weeks of searching around, finally found someone to help me. And then that took another couple weeks for them to not only say they were going to help me, but provide the help. So lo and behold, it's February 3rd, 2013, Super Bowl Sunday. And as according to my will, we're weeks late. Because time is of the essence. And Super Bowl Sunday, got the friend over, they're uploading it and helping me do all the stuff because I don't have any clue. And the moment we push enter, the moment we push send, deliver the message, it's quite interesting. On the TV in the background, all the lights, half the lights in the stadium as the Ravens were playing that year in the Super Bowl, and half the stadium goes out, dark, all the lights. At the moment we hit send, and you don't have to believe me, nobody knows, nobody has any clue what's going on. Just all of a sudden, half the stadium is full of light, and half is full of darkness. And the first thing they do is, uh-oh, we got technical difficulties. Gotta delay the game. Let's go to commercial. And the first commercial they show is God Made a Farmer. Paul Harvey's poem, God Made a Farmer. On the 8th day, God looked down in paradise, said, it needs a caretaker. Me being born on the 8th day, at the moment I pushed send, with all the prayers that I had been making, God proved to me, I answer prayers. And I can answer a prayer in such a mighty way, there's no way you can deny my love for you. That's where the resolve came complete. And today, years later, I can look back and say, now I see what God was saying. Now is the time, and I'm separating the sheep from the goats. I'm separating darkness from light. I'm going to go throughout my kingdom. And I'm going to weed out everything that causes sin and that doesn't belong there. And then I look into our world and this desire for communism and this desire for freedom. And everybody kind of stuck in the middle. God's drawing the line. Drawing the line. Because you are lukewarm, you say you are rich, but you're not rich. You're neither hot nor cold. And because you're that way, I'm about to puke you out. Like a bad virus. I'm going to puke you out. I would rather you bought some salve to wipe on your eyes so that you could see. I would rather that you'd come buy gold from me refined in the fire. Store your treasures in heaven. You know, Daniel had to resolve in his heart. And Daniel said, you know, the king's food is defiling me, making me sick, right? And it could be meat and wine, and they're giving children meat and wine for breakfast. Here, have a cup of wine. Same thing as the internet or social media or news or conversations, whatever. Well, what am I eating? What am I digesting? And Daniel resolved in his heart, no, I need fruit and vegetables, water only. That stuff, it's making me sick. King's guard is Like, Daniel, this is the king's food. And if it's good enough for the king, if all that slander and hatred and division is good enough for the king, isn't it good enough for you? It's making me sick. Give me 10 days. Give me 10 days to eat fruits and vegetables and drink only water. And if I'm more healthy than everybody else, because what does God bring us? Peace, a sound mind, and joy. Peace, a sound mind, and joy. Daniel proving his sound mind was better than all the rest. After eating good food, digesting good stuff, drinking water, maybe the water of the Spirit, which is the living Word of God, washing him clean from the inside out. Feels better, looks better. Proved to be wise. And maybe that came from the resolve. Because I'm going to resolve within my heart to follow and trust in God no matter what. These are people who were free and sovereign and ruled by God, governed by God. And yet, they were now being handed over as slaves. And they couldn't figure out why. And Jeremiah got down on them. The reason why is because you're worshiping false gods. You're living inside of this place of spite your neighbor or despise your neighbor. Despise your neighbor. In the true essence of what defines sin, the despising of one's neighbor. Because all the law hangs on love your neighbor as the same way you wish to be loved. And if you're despising them, that's the opposite. So if it doesn't bring us peace, we shouldn't engage in it. In fact, allowing it into our house is saying, I approve with the devil's works. I give it approval. And Jesus came to turn us away from Satan's works. Turn us away from sin. Bringing us back to him. But there must be a resolve. God says, I'm going to draw a line, and who are you going to worship? Who are you going to love? Who are you going to trust? Where are you going to put your faith? Meshach, Abednego, and Shadrach says, we make that same resolve as Daniel. We're going to put it in the one and only true living God. The one who loves us. A decree goes out. A mandate goes out. You guys can no longer worship your God. And the only God you can worship is Nebuchadnezzar, the King of Kings. To him only will you bow. And we're going to erect a statue made in his honor so that every time you bow to that statue, you're praising Nebuchadnezzar. Because he was the only God they knew. He brought them life. He brought them death. He brought them food, right? Everybody, even the Jews that come in or are subject to the slavery, are being fed by the king. I provide everything. Protection, food, love, judgment. All of it. And then they reject the king. We reject that love. We reject that food. We reject your protection. And resolved in our heart that faith in God alone is what's going to save us. And you can't take that. I don't care if you see 1,000 people bow to your left. I don't care if you see 10,000 bow to your right. Stand firm in your resolve. Stand firm in your resolve. If you say, I'm not going to allow you to poke and put poison into my body, whether you deem it a vaccination or what, I resolve in my heart, you will never do that. And making that resolve, that means we don't get to go to the doctor. Making that resolve means we don't get to go to the grocery store. Making that resolve means we will be deemed a danger to the public. But God's drawn the line, and He's separating darkness from light. And it says, right to Daniel, it says it in the book of Revelations, the saints, my beloved children, are going to be handed over to their enemies. Happened to Job, it happened to Daniel, it happened to Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego, it happened to Samson, it happened to Jesus, and it's going to happen to us, because no student is greater than his master, but when fully trained will be just like him. Those three boys stood with their resolve. Nebuchadnezzar, I don't care if you throw us into a fiery furnace. We will not give up on our resolve. I don't care if you destroy my body. This is the one thing I know. God may not deliver me from death, but He will, in the end, deliver me from you. And once I'm dead, you can touch me no more. Oh, you trust in that God, huh? That nobody can see, that nobody knows? Where was He when you were praying to be delivered out of my hand? And yet here you are, in my country, in my place, rejecting me. I'll throw you into the fire. Grab him, angry and furious. Grabs the boys, and they're being thrown into the fire. The fire was hotter than it had ever been before. Even the guards who were throwing them in were consumed and destroyed by the fire. And it was in the midst of the fire. They saw one standing there like the Son of God. And they weren't harmed. And they were no longer bound. But free men. Not bound, but free. In the presence of the sovereign God who gives freedom. And they could see that they were alive and bound and well. And there wasn't just 3, but now 4. And they're walking around in the fire. Nebuchadnezzar says, I see you. Come out of there. And they come out of the fire. Nothing's burned on them. Their hair isn't singed. Their clothes, not even the smell of smoke. They're free. Those are free men. There is no other God, says Nebuchadnezzar. I who was your enemy, says there is no other God who can deliver in this way. Because you resolved and trusted in God with everything you had. He delivered you from the hot fire. He delivered you from my hand. He fulfilled his promise. I'll be with you wherever you go. And I'll never leave you. And I'll never forsake you. Daniel's thrown in the den of lions. No more praying. Don't pray anymore. Daniel would pray 3 times a day, get on his knees, open the windows, face Jerusalem, and my hope is to return to Jerusalem one day. And I'm going to pray every day, God, hear me. One time Daniel's praying for the sins of all the people. Forgive them. No more praying. When you hear all the music and all the stuff, you pray to this God. Pray to the king. Pray to a man. And Daniel, I pray to the one living God. And you can't stop me. Then we'll throw you into a den full of hungry lions. Daniel spends 3 days with the lions. And then they go and quickly want to see the death. They want to see the carnage, the blood and the guts. Well, there's Daniel. Are you alive? Are you well? Are you okay, Daniel? The Lord sent his angels, and they closed the mouths of the lions. Who are you listening to when you're watching TV? What are you seeking out? Propaganda? Fox News, CNN News, ABC News. What are you seeking out when you're surfing the web? What food are you digesting? What approval are you giving to the devil? And it's evil. This world is full of violence. It's full of hatred. It's full of evil. But we got to resolve in our heart that if it brings me peace, it's good for me. But if it doesn't, if it creates within me anger, and it's tough right now because that's where the devil's won. He wants to get a foothold into a place where he could grab hold of your anger and then pull you right into his path, right into his plan. And truly, anger is, a wise woman once told me, that a wise man once told her, that anger is just me punishing myself for somebody else's mistake. And what does the devil want? To punish us and to pull us away from God. Because there's one thing the devil knows that's truth. We are saved by faith in Jesus Christ. And it's the power of Jesus Christ crushes the devil's effort. Brings him to a place of powerlessness. Even Jesus says, if you're a student of mine, if you've made the resolve within your heart to follow with me with everything you have, the world is going to reject you. The world is going to hate you. The world is going to see you as the dung that fertilizes their joy. And now it's being put in motion. And it's beginning to happen. Light is separating from the darkness. The line is being drawn. And God is saying, resolve, resolve, resolve within your heart. Not to give approval to the devil's works. Resolve within your heart to be a peacemaker. Resolve within your heart that it's okay to love your enemy. Resolve within your heart that it's okay to pray for those who are persecuting you. Resolve within your heart. The living God is asking us now to make a choice. Choose life. Choose life. Choose life. In Jesus Christ, eternal life has been made available. Resolve and choose life.